What's good, everybody? We're here at San Diego Comic-Con, and we are here with the cast from Star Wars Outlaws. I'm very excited to get a chance to finally talk to them because I got a chance to play the game.
Ooh. Yes!
In multiple places that I can't talk about yet. You'll see more footage when it drops here on Spawn on Me, but getting a chance to meet all of you finally in person and here at the show. Give the folks a little bit of information about yourselves. Tell the folks who you are and what character you're playing in the game.
Yes, I'm Umberly Gonzalez, and I play Kay Vess in Star Wars Outlaws.
I am Jay Rincon, and I play ND5 in Star Wars Outlaws.
I'm D. Bradley Baker, and I play Nix, this little creature who is Kay Vess's sidekick in the game.
I love it. We're going to start off with you because I want to talk a little bit. Plus, first you have the microphone in your hand, so you got to make sure you get the cadence right. Okay. Podcasters, this is how you do it. Playing a character like this, where a lot of the emotion is coming through your voice acting talent and the emotion that you're evoking through this beautiful character that we've all kind of come to know and love. What's the first thing that you want to kind of, invoke when you're kind of making a character like this kind of come to life?
Well, you start from the specifics that are available, where you've got the script, you've got the producers and the writers in the room, you've got the mocap that's already been animated, which shows Kay Vess and how she relates to the puppet that they used as the stand-in for my character. And I get to see all of that, and from that, we come up with something that establishes the sound, and then it's a matter of getting enough coverage on what has already been produced, but then also to collect these kind of sound buckets of reactions, of like curiosity or threat or yes or no, or all of these useful little beats that will appear during the gameplay. And so you're slowly building on this kind of smorgasbord of elements that'll be woven into the final story to feel realistic.
Yeah, recording barks is not easy. Being able to do all that kind of work for a long time.
It's easy if the specifics are set. Then you know what it needs to be.
Right.
It's not easy if you don't know, or if they're not sure on exactly what's going on. But they do. They know exactly what this world is going to be. They've painted this really full, wonderful, varied galaxy of worlds to explore, and with all these different events that are all very specifically laid out. And so that's a great help in finding the right kind of tone for the creature sounds.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't have to go into that conversation when you're talking to the director and saying, what's my motivation here? You don't have to do as much of that when the script kind of lays itself out, right?
No, because actually, they'll tell me he's threatened here.
Yeah.
Or he's picking something up with his little mouth.
Yeah.
Or he's fighting. Or, they are telling me what's going on, and I just need to come up with little sounds that'll fill that meaning.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a signature Nick sound now at this point that can't leave you?
That kind of when he purrs, he's like this little. He's almost like a little otter in some ways. This sweet little otter / shepherd dog that'll run and go do things and pretty much understands what you're saying, but just wants affection and wants to be at your side and wants to just kind of hang out with you all the time.
It's good to know that you are mimicking me when I get ice cream. That's great to understand that sound is the same sound.
There we are. Maybe we all have a little Nix in us.
I'm an easy person. It makes it easy for me. Jay, I want to dig into ND5 because ND5 is suave as hell in the weirdest ways.
Yep, he has some swagger.
He has swag. I want to talk to you about giving ND swag because it's the thing that, Star Wars as a franchise, you think of, kind of the marauder character in so many different ways of being the kind of smooth person. Lando is the one that everyone thinks of immediately when you have the kind of most swaggiest characters in that space. But you've added some really coolness to ND5 in that way. I want to hear you talk a little bit about that.
I don't know if there's anything close to Lando Calrissian swag in ND5. And any swag that he has is by accident. This was nothing that was ever thought of or talked about or... certainly the trench coat, that adds a lot to it. That duster with the wind blowing and his brooding nature. I can see how we got there, but yeah, it's let's start with that.
Yeah.
I think that, when I first saw what ND5 looked like, it immediately, that sets the tone.
Yep.
And so being a battle droid, but that being, long ago, he feels it in his bones. That's going to be, that the burden of his actions in the Clone War is a weight upon him. So you add that to the walk, the gait, and then there's just kind of there is that kind of Western feel, that Western vibe, and when that soup that becomes what ND5 looks like and how he walks and talks, and it sounds like we got swag.
Yeah. You got it right.
That was the result.
You nailed it in terms of that stuff. I mean, when you two are having those interactions through, kind of radio calls and things like that, and the stuff that I got a chance to check out, it feels like there's a really good synergy between you two in terms of the way you both are conveying your, innate versions of what you know that character to be, but also getting to play off each other in a lot of those ways. I'd love to hear your thoughts about kind of how that has worked as well.
Yeah, we're all right.
Listen.
We're okay. We kind of like each other. She's all right.
It's my time to talk.
Love it.
Honestly, our chemistry was from the get-go.
Yeah.
So the first time we met was actually on Zoom. And it was, after like 5 months of auditioning, and it's an in-person audition, but he's on the other side of the world in the UK, and I'm in Toronto, Canada. And we were doing a chemistry read together.
Yeah.
And we weren't even shooting yet, but I think we were kind of like, bantering and making jokes and kind of making fun of each other and talking about the script. And, you kind of feel the team like, what's going on? Is this part of it? Like, what's going on? I come to find out I was actually Jay's first K. Because obviously I wasn't the only person auditioning for this, but I was the first chemistry read that he had. So they had to look no further, obviously. But I think, we've become really close in the last few years of developing these characters, and it makes your job so much easier when you actually encounter another artist who is super down to play, doesn't take themselves too seriously, but cares so much about the project. And we're constantly talking about these characters, where they're going, their intentions, where they come from, why they're doing what they're doing, and then we kind of infuse it with our own thing. So I love that the team is very open to collaboration, and once we add like ourselves into it, inevitably that character is going to change from what it was on a page to who they become on their feet.
Yeah, I mean, I love to hear you talk about the play layer of all of that too, because I think that's the thing where you get magic, right? You get these really nice spaces where things that were on the page then kind of morph into these other conversations and these other iterations of, who you are embodying these characters. What is some of the stuff that besides the script that you get a chance to feel like I ad-libbed the hell out of that moment? Were there parts of that where you were like, oh yeah, that was really good, we got to figure out a way to keep that stuff?
Especially in between shots, we tend to always kind of play around, and we're kind of diving into like a deeper layer of the script, and because they have writers and a massive team of like collaborators, they pick every single word very specifically. So as to freedom to what we're saying on the actual day and what we're filming, it's very limited. I think it's more about, it's like, are we saying this whole line, or what if we put this on this side, or like, where is this relationship right now? Would I be this free with it, or would I have a bit more standoffish? So I think it came from the more we were in these characters, I think it was easier to be like, I don't know that I would say that. I don't know that it would come out this way. What do you think? It's like, we kind of played off of the, Nix.
No, Nix. No.
Nix is running.
Well, and also, as you spoke before, when you're in the volume and when you're doing motion capture, you don't have all these costumes and the bells and whistles of sets, and it's quite humbling. We're in those really tight, cat suits with little, nodes and the markers all over the place. So you have nothing but your character and your personality and your connection to feed off of. So it has to be genuine and organic from the word go. And that's what you rely on. So the relationship, in that chemistry, it's paramount, and and it dictates, they have an idea of where the story is going, of course.
Sure.
But then that personal feel and that vibe, that absolutely resonates throughout what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I caught a lot of that stuff even in small snippets of the audio that would come through during like calls of like, oh, you're on planet, you're off planet, kind of giving direction of like, all right, you got to sneak in here, you can't do this thing. But it also feels like that chemistry layer is there not only just because of the work you two are doing together, but again, understanding what that character is trying to evoke in the greater story, which is super, super cool. I think, what's the process that you all kind of found together? Because I'm not sure how many games you've both have worked on in this respect, but I think seeing the performances kind of come through in the ways that they have. What's that synergy you feel like with the writer room too? I mean, again, getting the stuff on paper is one thing, but like there's snark there with ND5 in the way that you're kind of saying, you really want to do that? Like, are you going to go take that route as that character?
I got this.
Yeah, I mean, exactly that too. Like there's that back and forth banter that comes within that space. How much of that is you understanding the character, or then coming in to record that day, you're like,
it's definitely cohesive.
I'm cranky today.
Between everybody, it's easy to lend that to it. I mean, there's so much of me and my personality in ND5 that part can be terribly natural. As a matter of fact, they might on certain days be like, hey, pull it back a little bit.
Sure.
But yeah, that speaks to droids and their nature within the galaxy of Star Wars to have that sardonic humor. So I feel like that's where you start. That's the baseline, and then we build from there. Like you said, the personality and then the character of who ND5 is. But then and then that's a happy marriage that winds up manipulating the performance, or maybe how they. The intention is still the same, but maybe how we get there within that particular scene might change a bit. Because Nav, the narrative director, we're all working there.
Yeah.
We're always working together from the word go on every day that you're filming.
Yeah.
And even recording if you're in the booth.
Yeah. For you two, I think that there's a really interesting connection there too, because a lot of the work that you're doing is mostly in voice. Are you doing mocap sessions alongside of you kind of giving the performance, or is it something where you're reacting to the big green ball in most of those spaces and saying, are you capturing that stuff afterward?
Well, it actually was not. Was it ever a green ball? It was.
I think there was a rumor where at one point it was just going to be like a tennis ball.
Right.
And someone in the team was like, this relationship is so crucial to the plot line. There needs to be something more that I can play off of motion capture.
I'm going to go get it. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
We have a surprise. But in the meantime, I will say that I had not met Dee until like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I had only ever heard his voice, and it was only like halfway through the process because, it's true. It's just a voiceover character. But in the volume, we had a professional puppeteer. And she actually built a whole Nyx. Initially, it was just a stuffed toy. And this is him. War. So you can see right now, he's got markers on it. And we had to tape all these things so it can't be shiny.
Yeah.
And so he's got the eyes, he's got, and she could move him around. Like I could actually pet him. So all of those scenes where Nyx and I are interacting. Or when he's waking me up or whatever.
Your ankle, like
Yeah, there could actually be contact between us. And that actually changed everything.
Yeah.
But I still had not heard him. And there was a point while we were filming in one of the batches that we came to shoot that they were like, by the way, Dee filmed some stuff. Would you like to hear what? And I'm like, this is the voice of my son. Like, yes, I want to hear what Nick sounds like. And that really integrated so much of it, because the second we heard his little coos and his raws and his everything, it was like, oh my gosh, he just came to life. And now it just added another deeper layer to this, and you don't often get a chance to have like a full-blown puppet on set. So now he's here.
An animated character is a really interesting collaboration of a lot of people.
Sure.
There is the vocal performance, and that's important, but there's a lot of other people, including the animators. In this case, we've got a puppeteer who's added in performance and connection to the relationship. And the people that light it, the people that write it, everybody comes together to really create what you finally get in the final rendering.
Yeah, I mean, I'm upset that Nyx has better hair than I do. I'm a little.
Like, look at this.
In my dreams, I have faux dreads like this in some version of this life, making that happen. I want to talk to you really quickly about, what this character means in the kind of greater scope of the universe, right? Like, it's in between these very two seminal parts of the kind of ethos of what Star Wars is. And what I love about the character, getting a chance to play her, has been she's not a Jedi. I love that she's not a Jedi.
Yeah.
I like that she's a hustler and she's doing it. It's part of my own ethos as a human being of doing all this work and all this stuff, is like learning what it's like to hustle through stuff and make something out of nothing, right?
That's her whole thing. I mean, she doesn't want to belong anywhere. She doesn't want to be with the Empire or the Rebels, or she doesn't have, superpowers, not a Sith, not a Jedi. So you go, well, who are you and why is this story important? Mm-hmm. But in the world of scoundrels in Star Wars, like, we've seen them, and they tend to be very cool, very, Lando, Han Solo, all of that. They have this air.
Yeah.
And no doubt there's inspiration from that, but Kay Vess is her own entity because, well, first of all, she's never had, obviously, contact with any of them, and she's only ever been in Canto Bight. Her worldview is limited to what she grew up in, but she has these dreams of being out there in this galaxy and taking on, like, the baddest of the bad, but she doesn't even know what that means. She doesn't know what the crime syndicates are, but her superpower really is her own motivation, her fearlessness, her charm, the way that she is an opportunist, and she, maybe her naivety is actually a gift, because in a way, she kind of gets away with a lot, She gets away with a lot. And that's so relatable that, there's a lot of humans in the world that you may come from lack and nothing, but at the end of the day, we all have a dream. And we all, when there's a will, there's a way. And she lives very much like that. So I kind of love that about her. She's infused me with inspiration, so.
This looks like it's seen better days.
It flies, kinda. You got another job for me?
How do you feel about crossing imps?
Not good. Kate, tell her not good.
I thought that's a no-no around here.
That's why we pin it on the pikes.
And how do I know Crimson Dawn won't burn me after I pull this off?
You don't, but that's the game we play. And yeah, I play it better than most. You just have to sneak into an Imperial station and delete some data. Easy.
In space? No, she's not ready yet.
I'll be fine.
I was talking about her.
We'll get it done.
Yeah, it feels like whenever I've talked to folks who have been on the team or not getting a chance to talk to all of you, there's an embodiment of each of the layers of the characters and of the world in that way, and it feels like you're really pulling that off in your performance for the game, and it's been really cool to be able to see that, because me as a person, I'm just like, I want more of these characters in this world. I want the folks who are not just, let me just hit you with this lightsaber and do a couple flips and be done with it, right? Like, I want to see the learning through the process, which you see a lot through the character you play. Jay, I want to talk a little bit about, how have folks kind of in your own world and your kind of, the spaces that you occupy, when you get a chance to say, hey, I'm working on a Star Wars game, what's that conversation been like for you to be able to say? Have the folks been like,
well,
hey?
My friends and my family are really, really excited, and they constantly remind me that this is what it is. We talk about this all the time, we have from the beginning. You kind of, aside from that initial chemistry read when we were talking and I was reading with other actors, I remember when the creatives came on at one point in the Zoom and they were like, oh, hey, by the way, we should probably tell Jay, if you haven't guessed, you have the job and it's for Star Wars. And so you do light up inside, but then there's kind of you got to kind of put it out of your mind and get to business creating, the world that we live in and these characters. But it's tremendously exciting. I mean, it's a dream come true, and every day that we get closer to even ourselves, seeing this finished product, that's when it's going to truly hit, and I get butterflies. Like when I just, when I see all of these photos, and we had a rehearsal, for example, yesterday for the panel, we got to see some stuff that we haven't seen and heard some things that we haven't heard. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. But when it's Star Wars, and I think you had said it before too. it's bigger than anybody. Even these characters, you're playing a small part of a huge galaxy, and it's a slice in between, like as you said, massive time. This time period in Star Wars has created everything. That's what created. That's why we're here today. So it's gone full circle. Yeah, that never escapes
Will
me.
you ever live this down?
I hope not. I hope I don't. I hope I don't get to.
You're on the Star Wars train. You're not getting off.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, like now it's begun, right? Like now it's a part of the
Once
deal.
you're on that space train, that space train ain't stopping. It's great.
And you got folks who are thirsty for ND anyway, and some weird. It's in those ways too. Which is we're not going to dig into that part because I don't want to make you blush on camera. But it's one of those things that I was like, yo, these folks are thirsty out here for ND.
A droid with a coat? Yeah.
I'm saying, I was like,
It's not just a coat.
I do declare.
It's a pretty cool coat.
I'm saying there were a lot of fanning in the space. There was a lot of I do declares
I hope
up in
he,
that.
well, I don't know.
Oh, we got to do it. You got to do it. We got to talk about it.
It's not really that glamorous in real life. So we had to have something to simulate the duster, just so that you could feel the weight and the sway and the swing. And when you move around, it's all very, you're keeping it true to life. So I had the most beautiful, glamorous fishnet stocking hanging off of my shoulders, and I was ridiculed to no end for the longest time until other characters, they decided it was so effective for the team to be able to manipulate ND5 and everything from their end. So any other actor that had to wear a coat or a cape, they got the fishnet stockings. So in the end, you wanted one and you never got one.
Oh wow!
So who's laughing now?
Wow.
Part of the fishnet crew.
I mean, look, if it works for if it works for Lenny Kravitz, it can work for you.
Yeah. So maybe I guess we probably should have seen the swag, sexy thing coming with the fishnets.
Yeah, we should have known.
Wow. I'm seeing visions of Rocky Horror and droids, and it's, oh my gosh.
It was not pretty.
I mean, look, DLC, never know. Before I let you all go, because I know you have a very busy Comic-Con, we're gonna pass it around and tell me one thing that you really took away from being a part of this game. What was the thing that you really thinking about the time with it that you were like, man, that was really cool and fun?
To me, the most fun and exciting part of it is just the expectation of what the fans are about to step into, this open-ended world in this really exciting moment in the Star Wars storyline. And it feels real, and it feels fun and exciting, and I can't wait for it.
Cool. Jay?
I mean, playing with the toys as a kid and being around and watching the initial, trilogy 4, 5, and 6, and you're the Millennium Falcon, or you have Luke Skywalker in your hands, and you're doing that zoom with all that stuff. When that happens, and if that happens, and I see somebody, and there's a whole generation of people that'll get to experience that, I'm gonna say, wow, I'm a piece of that character. That's just an incredible thing to think about.
Bring us home.
Oh man, I'm in Star Wars, and I grew up in South America, in Venezuela. Spoke Spanish half my life ago, and getting to full circle kind of live out that dream of seeing myself represented in a project, which I never had growing up. This is so beyond me that it's for immigrants, for Latinos, for women of color in the industry, in the video game industry. Being a female protagonist in something like this is so special. And I think back to the moments where I was shooting mocap, and I remember being inside of Kay's brain and the struggle that she goes through and how resilient she is, and the facing her fears and using everything inside of her to get what she wants, to now see it realized in a poster on screen and people playing it. It's a full circle moment for me too, that I get to be a part of this massive galaxy, and I am forever immortalized in a game, and people get to play as me and listen to my voice forever.
What a pleasure.
I mean, I will say before we go, as most folks know who watch our show, that is the foundation of why I do this. It's about making sure folks are represented in those ways, and that we don't get a chance to see and talk to folks who are doing that kind of work. So I want to say, for me personally, thank all of you for not only just being here with me today, but especially you in the way you're kind of pulling this character together and bringing her into this universe. It means a lot to a lot of people, and I think you get a chance to do a victory lap in that respect in a lot of different ways.
Let's run.
No doubt. Everybody at home, thank you so much for watching. And again, give the team some love because the game is really, really fun. It's a blast, and I hope you get a chance to dig into the world and play it as well. So we have more coming from San Diego Comic-Con very soon. Much love to you all, and peace.